Hey guys, Cam315 back it up with another video for you guys, and I'm back with another My Hero Academia manga chapter review for you guys as we continue on with the manga. While we have two more chapters left of the My Hero Academia manga. Um, Apologies for getting this video out a day later, or a few days later after the official chapter released. Bunch of stuff happened on Sunday. Blah 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 blah. Whatever. Anyways, my goodness. Um, this chapter is very interesting for very obvious reasons, and the fact that we get left up on a cliffhanger with a potential confession maybe happening. So yeah. Anyways, this is chapter 428, titled "The Girl Who Loves Smiles." Now, we pick up where we last left off from last week after the girls basically berated Bakugo and Todoroki about wanting to get their numbers and then wanting them to probably go out with them. Now, what happens is Ida kind of steps in and he's like, listen, I understand that you guys really admire these guys. I understand, you guys look up to these dudes because they talk about like how they looked all up to them after the events, after what they did with All for One and everything. But basically, Edith's like, listen, don't bother leave these guys alone. Don't bother them. Don't harass them. Listen, they're kind of bothered, if anything. Now, Todoroki's like, look, I'm fine. Just one at a time, please. And then Bakugo's just like, they're running the hallways. They're not allowed to do that. So that's kind of the thing. Anyways, also Ida makes a mention. He's like, furthermore, they're still confiscating in the wake of their battles. Grant them rest and that they basically need. Now, my goodness, what the hell, bro? You know what? I'm gonna get a good drink. Jeez Louise. Anyways, we cut back to 2A, or Class A, and essentially they talk about like, man, these dudes are so lucky to be getting all these damn girls and everything. Now Deku's like, well, Kachan's always kind of kept a distance to the point like, he's just kind of there, and really he doesn't attract a lot of females actually. So yeah, no, Shinzo's like, really, that's surprising. And basically all the other guys are like, these freaking dudes are freaking crazy. Anyways, we have it to where one student is basically tells Deku, he says that he saw Deku in his fight against Shigaraki and that it gave him a lot of courage. And then he looks up to him, and the fact that he basically thinks of Deku as his hero, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. So Deku kind of had like no thought about that. And he was like, oh, wow, thanks. Yeah, that's nice and everything. So that's kind of the thing. Anyway, and it's funny because I think it's Mineta, he's like, Midori and Todoroki get a pass, but bad boys don't deserve chicks. My soul won't accept it. And they're talking about Bakugo and everything, but then you kind of have a panel where you see Ochako and she's seen all this, but she has no reaction. She kind of looks a little bit of blue or like depressed or something. So yeah. Anyways, some time has passed. Some more time passed. We cut over to Class A, basically helping out Fat Gum and Best Jeanist clean up this area in terms of doing reconstruction stuff and everything. So that's kind of basically what they're doing and everything. So yeah, now you kind of have it to where Best Jeanist has a conversation with Bakugo to an extent. He's like, quite the damaged denim, aren't you? You're really out to be recuperating while you're here. Now, they put Bakugo in some light lifting area where he doesn't have to do much and everything. So that's the thing. Now, Bakugo ends up having a talk with Edge Shot. And basically, apparently, Edge Shot is recovering a little bit, and he's basically looks like a little like parasite or a little bit like a little tiny version of himself. He's got like arms and everything, and he's able to talk and everything. Now, Bakugo does make the mention, will he ever go back to normal? Now, Edgeshot does end up saying from the outset, I intended to seize the day in triumph. And that's basically where we left off. Now, before I continue on with the chapter, It's quite interesting to see that Edgeshot is still alive. Now, if you remember, which funny enough, we just got it in the anime version, well, the first half of it, not the revival part of Bakugo yet, which will be interesting to see animated, and maybe they could potentially correct my, or make me feel better on in terms of how I feel about that situation. But, um, look, when Edgeshot did this move or this technique he did to bring back Bakugo back to life and remake his heart, he basically like implied like he was going to die. Now, I'm guessing we're getting another false sacrifice moment. They don't really explain how he's still alive. Like, it's weird. At the end of the day, I'm not gonna make this point drag me down and make me feel like it's the worst. It kills the story for me. But the fact that it's like, okay, first you move off from Bakugo dying, and then it's like, okay, you have it to where Edgeshot is gonna sacrifice his life for the youth. All right, fine. But then you find out that Edgeshot is still alive. Okay, what? No explanation of how and why. Who knows? I don't really care. Maybe we could get we could get an explanation at some point. Maybe Horikoshi, if he ever feels like doing one, giving one out and saying like, how is Edgeshot still alive? It's regardless. Now we don't know. Now maybe he goes back to his old self, and maybe he grows back a whole new body again and everything. But we'll see. We will see. But look, we were led to believe that he was supposed to be dead, but apparently he's still alive. So yeah. Anyways, Class A continues on helping this reconstruction process. You have it to where some civilians end up giving them like some rice balls and things like that. Now, this one old man and goes on to say my property got blown off the map in the big battle. Now, Deku ends up saying like, I apologize for that, but the human ends up saying like, no, not at all. I don't mean to say I hold it against you. When we saw you bunch fighting the good fight, we realized we had no business sitting around moping. Can't ask you to handle this job all on your own. No, we're ready to step up and do our part to help rebuild as well. So it seems like there might be a potential change in society where maybe actually you have to where civilians be like, hey, if it's okay if I can help, I would like to help when it comes to certain heroes and things like that. And in that way, maybe civilians being more active can also help be like, hey, I don't know. I ran into this individual. You might need to check him out. I don't know what's going on, but I'm worried about this guy. And, getting the attention of heroes in terms of that case. But maybe this could be the change that society needs, and where the civilians realize they might need to also do more themselves. I know in the last, obviously in the last chapter, you remember when they were talking about Shigaraki, you had to wear that one old lady, which I forgot to mention. Apparently, people are saying that old lady was the lady that first saw Shigaraki when he was a kid after he had killed his entire family. That was the person. She made a mention like maybe somebody could have did something and nipped this in the bud before everything that happened. So maybe you have it to where civilians are going to recuperate and be like, you know what? Maybe we might need to be more active. Maybe we might need to be more helpful to these heroes and bring more attention to these guys. So then maybe if somebody is in need of help, we can take them to a hero to get the help they need. So yes. So that's good. That's good. Anyways, this bus shows up and then Cementos comes out and we find out the new class who basically was berating Bakugo and Todoroki wanted to come and apologize, and in their way of apology, they wanted to help out the reconstruction process. And Cementos is like, look, I tried my best to tell them no, it's okay, but they just wouldn't accept it. So that's the thing. They end up helping out even though they technically don't have hero licenses, but yeah, that's kind of the thing. Well, provisional hero license anyway. So, anyways, the old guy also says, not sure how this came about, but I suppose one turn of good hard work inspires the next, and so on. Now, Suyu actually ends up calling out to Ochako. And Ochako's just kind of looking at this blank stare, and you can kind of tell like her smile's not her genuine smile. And basically Ochako ends up saying like, yeah, little by little things are taking a positive turn. What a relief. And the thing is, she ends up leaving saying, look, I'm all good anyways. what flavor do you want, Deku, about the food and everything. So yeah, now the thing is she's eating and she's putting on this face, but you can tell within Deku and Sue like something's not right. And even Deku, before we get into the next panel, later that evening, can see like something's up. So essentially, Sue tells the class like, "Hey, Ochako says she's heading home for a bit, but she really hasn't been herself, and she hasn't been reading my text." And the thing is, as we get the chapter ending off, we get a monologue scene of Ochako basically telling the audience that, when Toga was basically, the camera that was the news that was focusing on Hera and Toga, they didn't catch everything that happened after it. So people still think that Toga is a very, very bad person, even though, yeah, she is. But they didn't see the good that she did in terms of saving Ochako's life and basically giving her life. And we also kind of get this chapter also implies and gives basically, I guess you can say, a layman's term confirmation of the fact that, okay, Toga more than likely died. So that's the thing. Now, Ochako's overlooking the city landscape and the cityscape, but the thing is, she's deep and dark down in the depths of her soul. She's very emotional by this. And she goes on to say, feels like, hold on a quick second, guys. All right, back. Anyways, she goes on to say, ever since then, it felt like the sun is setting and the shadows are growing long. Unlike those times, it's really over now. Everything's been settled, and that's a good thing. The world's facing forward and ready to bring it all back. I love the fact that everyone's smiling again, but as she's saying this, she starts to get teary-eyed. And Ochako goes on to say, I don't want to be a party pooper. And then she starts to get flashbacks of Toga at that moment when Toga saved her life. And she starts grabbing at the area where she was impaled at by Toga. And she's like, that's why, just like before, I'm dealing with the lasting pain by shutting it all away. And then that's when she starts to break out into tears and she starts to cry. And then the chapter ends off as she's crying. Deku finds her and he screams out, Uraraka. Mind you also, too, you see like the electricity of all for one or one for all around him. So he's using one for all as quirk, and we know he's got embers left of the quirk. So he ended up hurrying. I guess he ended up using his quirk, one for all, to get to her fast to see what the hell is going on and find her. And we just see that clearly Ochako is still visibly broken by this by Toga's death, because they're I guess you can say everything that happened in that final battle between them, it really created a bond where Ochako felt like, okay, I can bond with you. I see the good in you. Yes, you've done bad things, and yes, you probably more than likely have to do the time, but you're no different from me. I want to have you as a friend that I can talk to about the things I like and things like that. And plus with the fact that, you can say that Ochako maybe feels a little bit guilty that she feels like she's the one responsible for Toga's death, because if she maybe did not get the wound she had, maybe she stops Toga, but Toga stays alive, right? But you can understand at a kid at her age, because she's really just a kid. Like, she's still a high school teenage girl, she feels a lot of guilt and everything. So yeah, and it's crazy. And with the way the chapter's set up, it's setting up for next week, where we potentially could be getting the confession we've been waiting for a very long time. So, we'll see. We will see. I don't know if the confession is going to happen. Now the fanboy in me hopes the confession between Deku and Ochako happens. I hope, Ochako finally has the courage to finally tell Deku that she likes him more than just a friend. She likes him. She's in love with him, essentially. And she's been in love with him really since, I guess you can technically say, since they really first met. Well, I wouldn't say since they first met, but she's always had an interest in him. But it really didn't, their relationship didn't really develop at some point to like, some point really until like back into season 1 and early season 2. that's when she started to really crush on him. And then ever since then, she's always kind of hid these feelings. Certain other members clearly know that, she likes him. Which Ayama could tell, like, she likes him, knew that she likes him, but he ain't here. We already know Sue, because that's her best friend, Sue knows that Ochako likes Deku, because she literally told Deku, like, hey, you need to go to where you need to go in the battle, because you don't need to stay here and things get revealed to you, and barring this is not the way, you need to find out that Ochako likes you, right? And then also Mina Mina knows that Ochako likes Deku. It's very obvious, because she was teasing her in the freaking joint training, the joint battle arc against Class B. Like, she was legitimately making innuendos, like, oh, I know why you're so impressed with him, because you like him. You like Deku. And obviously Ochako would get flustered. And I think at some point, I think the other girls in their class clearly knows that Ochako has feelings for Deku. I think it's some of the guys. I think all the guys don't know, like, oh, and maybe Ida's maybe the only other guy that would have an idea, like, hey, I think I know you. I know you like him. You don't have to hide this from me. But I know for a fact, I think all the class A girls know that Ochako likes Deku. I think maybe it's only Ida other than that, and then every other guy really wouldn't know. And like, if they do end up hooking up together and they end up starting dating and they end up actually dating and they walk in together and they're like, oh, and the girls are like, congratulations on you guys being together. The other guys will be like, wait, what? They're gonna be like, wait, Midoriya and Uraraka are together? They're dating? What? What the hell did I miss? Which it's gonna be funny, because then the girls are just gonna be like, you guys really didn't know? You guys been living under a rock? Have you not been seeing this? But it's clearly setting up a potential confession angle. And look, if we get it next week, I am all for it. Honestly, I hope we get it so we can just get this shit out the way. I hope we can get a confession, whether it's Deku confessing to Ochako or it's Ochako confessing to Deku. It actually would make more sense if it's Ochako confessing to Deku, because she's been hiding these feelings all this way, and we know that Deku likes Ochako back too. But I think it would make more sense for her to finally just be like, I want to get this off my chest, because I need to get this off my chest, and I'd rather tell you now than as opposed to later. And then you can have it to where, boom, you can have their ship be confirmed and everything. Now, I know people are gonna, certain My Hero Academia freaking community members are gonna be upset because, oh, it's not the ship that I wanted. I didn't want to see Deku and Ochako be together, even though it was obvious that these two characters, by the end of the story, would probably more than likely be more than just friends. They'd be hooking up together. So you already know, without a shadow of a doubt, that you're gonna have certain fans literally freaking tweeting at Horikoshi, giving him hate mail and hate shit and hate tweets, talking about, how could you do this, Horikoshi? You ruined the best moment. You ruined the ship. And guess what? They'll say that moment alone will ruin the entire story, because, oh, he should have been with this girl. Listen, trust and believe. I've watched enough animes to see that people say, like, it'd be so toxic about, oh, who ends up with who. Apparently, I know Bleach ends up being that way. There's fans that say, oh, he should not hooked up with this guy, or Ichigo should never hooked up with. I don't know. I figure I have an idea of who Ichigo hooked up with, and I think I've actually even seen who he ends up hooking up with, and I can see why people. And then, like, I don't watch Naruto, but I know a lot of people are like, Naruto should have ended up, with Sakura, not Hinata. Again, I don't watch, nor have I ever watched Naruto at all. Maybe at some point in my lifetime I will watch Naruto. But I know there are people in that franchise or in that series that still to this day say, oh, Naruto should have hooked up with Sakura, not freaking Sasuke. That makes no sense and shit like that. So you already know that side in the terms of the My Hero Academia community, which is already toxic as is going to be even more toxic, based on if we get the confirmed, like, confession. And then I can also see it if we don't get a confession. It's basically Deku comforting Ochako, basically having a moment with her, to help her get over the loss of Toga, and they don't go an angle of a confession. I can see where people would be upset and be like, well, Horikoshi, why didn't you make them confess their feelings to one another? Look, personally, if I'm Horikoshi, I'm writing this in a way where you just have it to where one of the two confess to each other, and you basically confirm the fact that they're going out and they're dating, going into their next school year. Plain and simple. I think that's the safest way to go. So you don't tease your fans and just they have to hope, like, say, like, well, unless there's a sequel series where it shows their adulthood, well, then maybe that would be the only other way we could get confirmation. But honestly, just confirm these two characters. Have Ochako just confess her feelings and everything, and just let it all out. Like, obviously, it's gonna be the situation where it's a whole thing from what we saw back when Deku first got back to UA after his Dark Deku arc. We had it to where Ochako stood at the top of UA with a microphone and pleaded with everybody to give him a chance, to give Deku a chance, and let him come back to UA to continue his Hero Academia, right? She was there for him in his lowest moment, and everything, and she was by his side when he wanted to leave and he wanted to not have to put so much pressure on her or his other classmates and everything. But she grabbed his hand. She's like, no, you can, it's okay, we're here, right? And she did all of that so he could, so the public people could keep him there, and accepted him being there and everything. She was there at his darkest moment, at his lowest point in his life. And now Deku is clearly going to do the same for her in her moment of darkness, in her moment of mourning, sadness, and pain. Her in her darkest part of her life right now, really. He's going to be there for her, and he's going to be there to comfort her and give her words of encouragement. And maybe in that's when she will confess to him, and she will say, this is why I've always loved you. You're always being kind and caring, and you look out for others, and that's why I fell for you. And maybe that's when you finally hook them up together. I can definitely see that conversation happening where he says all these nice things and he gets Ochako with this mindset to make her not feel as guilty and everything, because he can equally say, like, look, I killed Shigaraki too. Yes, it affected me, but I'm gonna carry that burden, and I'm gonna carry knowing the fact, like, okay, here's what I can do, and I'm gonna understand and realize that whole thing. Like, he could even say, like, I'm never gonna forget him. That's the thing you can do. Don't forget about Toga, and what she did for you. Treasure that moment and hold that, to grow and get better. And like I said, maybe that can lead into her finally saying, like, this is why I've always loved you. And Deku could be like, wait, what are you talking about? And she could be like, I just love how much you're very caring and very open, and just how great of a person you are. And that's that's the reason. And she can go on a tangent of, like, the things that she likes about Deku and everything, and she can express that to him. And that leads into the confession where she ends up telling him, like, hey, look, I've been holding this in for a very long time, but I want to let you know, like, hey, I really like you, and I really like you more than just classmates, more than just friends. I like you romantically, essentially, right? And it would kind of tie a bow on the type of thing, because the thing is, Toga also kind of told her a little bit in some of the scuffles they had, like, why are you hiding your feelings and everything, and why not just, because their whole thing was like hiding the terms of, like, hiding the feelings they have inside of them and wanting to get an understanding and wanting to express that. And we know that initially, before, like, Ochako in the first fight in the first war arc didn't express her true feelings about Toga, and that kind of rubbed Toga the wrong way. And then in their second battle in the second war arc, she told her everything, and she let her feelings out and everything, and she told her how she really felt. So I feel like that is definitely, it would make sense for Ochako to be like, you know what, I can't hold this in anymore. I'm tired of holding this pain that I have, this pain of this love that I have for you. I want to be selfish in my own case, and I want to just tell you, like, I really like you. So we'll see where it goes. It's definitely setting up a confession angle for chapter 429. No break. I'm definitely interested to see where it's gonna go. I definitely know when the spoilers come out this week, people are going to be like, "Oh my goodness." See, what I'm gonna try to do is I'm gonna try to stay away from the spoilers as much as I possibly can because I know the spoilers are gonna come out. There's gonna be a freaking description, and the number one thing people are gonna look forward to is to see, okay, does Ochako is there a line that says Ochako is talking to Deku, she understands, and then Ochako confesses her feelings to Deku. I already know people are gonna be looking for that line alone. So we'll see. I'm gonna try not to, but I have a feeling that I probably am gonna look into the spoilers, and I'll be giddy as hell if we end up getting a confession and everything and things like that. But yeah. And personally, for background information, I am in a Izuku Midoriya Ochako Uraraka ship. I ship those two. So hopefully, we get a confession. If we don't, I'm not gonna be mad. I'm not gonna be mad. I just hope we do. But other than that, we got 2 more chapters left in My Hero Academia. There's still after this plot line, there might only be 1 or 2 more storylines that they got to clean up. But other than that, the only other storyline I could see them probably cleaning up really is this mysterious individual that we have yet to get explained. And excuse me. Then I guess another storyline is the whole thing is okay, is Deku gonna lose One For All once and for all? Or is this maybe the restarting of One For All again, and Deku, in layman's term, even though he's the 9th user, it's a new One For All, and these embers that he has within him won't fade away. It's just a small flame because One For All is a weak quirk again, and it's at its base stage what it used to be, and maybe Deku will grow, and maybe whatever the next quirkless individual he comes across, he will then pass it on to the next person to then grow and enhance the quirk. That would be the only other 2 storylines that I could see that are unresolved and everything, and stuff like that. So we'll definitely see where the story goes from here on there. But yeah, anyways, excuse me, I'm gonna get out of here. If you guys like the video, leave a like, put in the comment section your thoughts, hit that subscribe button if you want to get more My Hero Academia content or any other anime content or manga content I upload to the channel. Till then, guys, stay safe out there and have a great rest of your day or night. Till then, guys, stay safe. Peace.